Welcome back to Pearl in Every Castle Seer. This is CLE Language Arts 800 Book 6, recorded right here in the classroom. I hope you enjoy. Okay, 8th grade, Book 6. Lesson 1, Figures of Speech and Using Figures of Speech. First of all, I have some review questions for you. What are verb forms that function as nouns and end in ing? Gerunds, good. Which ones function as adjectives and end in ing?
Participle.
And which ones function, verb form is preceded by the word to? Infinitive. Great. The commandment to love our enemies is in Matthew, what is it? Infinitive. Returning good for evil. Gerund. Building fences. Participle. Okay, the new lesson is about parts, not parts of speech, figures of speech. And we have 4 main figures of speech to talk about. First of all, a simile. In a simile, we'll use like or as. So a figure of speech is something that can't be understood literally. You might say it's raining cats and dogs. That's a figurative speech. Or he ran like the wind. There we have a simile. Uses like or as. He ran like the wind. It is as cold as a freezer. You're comparing two things using like or as. Those should not be hard to find. A metaphor. If I can spell it right. Is that how it's spelled?
Without the E, right?
Yeah, without the E. Good. Metaphor. And this one we'll just usually use like is or was. Instead of saying he ran like a deer, we say he is a deer. Or he is a gazelle. The tractor is a bear. Comparing it, the moon is a silver dollar in the sky. That would be a metaphor. So simile would be the moon is like a silver dollar in the sky. The metaphor would be the moon is a silver dollar in the sky. Usually we're afraid to use metaphors because they feel so bold, they feel so aggressive. Just say, he is a bear. But they're much better than using like or as, using similes. I would say metaphors are much stronger. Just go ahead and say it is. The sea is glass. Just say it. And then after the metaphor comes personification. And that is just comparing something to a person. Anything that a person could do. The tree stretched its hands. The tree stretched its arms to God. Or the leaves whispered in the wind. People can whisper. People can stretch out their hands. Anything that compares any other object to a person. And then finally, this last one, how do we say it? Hyperbole. That looks like hyperbole. If I spell it correctly again. Yes, I think it did. Hyperbole. And a hyperbole is an exaggeration. So it has to be somewhat true to be a hyperbole. If it's not, it is a metaphor. So you could say, the mountain of homework. Is that a metaphor or a hyperbole? The mountain of homework. Because sometimes metaphors don't say the homework is a mountain. It would just say the mountain of homework. That could also be a metaphor. Do you think it's a metaphor or hyperbole?
Hyperbole.
I'm going to call it a metaphor. I wonder if I'm right. Well, I don't know if I'm right. I don't know how to find out if I'm right. The reason I'm calling
it both, because there's it's not as big as mountain.
Okay, if you actually have the homework on your desk in a pile, then you can call it the mountain of homework. The mountain of homework on his desk. Now that would work to call it. But the mountain of homework that he had to do before he finished, that would be a metaphor then. But hyperbole if it's a little mound. So you have to say, haven't I told you 1,000,000 times? Well, you're exaggerating. No, I'm just using hyperbole. Because I did tell you 1 or 2 times. The horizon stretched for miles. Well, that would be true anyway. So what could we say that wouldn't be true? The bean row stretched for miles ahead of him. You know, the bean row does stretch for a bit of a distance, so you're using hyperbole to make it even bigger. Now, some things to watch with these is, first of all, use fresh figures of speech. Use your head to come up with something original that will please people. Let's look at this one. The engineers had laid the road as straight as an arrow. Okay, have you ever heard straight as an arrow before? Probably. So try to think of something. What would be a fresh one we could use? The engineers laid the road as straight.
I don't know.
I want to say as straight as the teacher's back. Something like that. Like that would even work. Or as straight as not my grandma's back. You know, that's gonna be pretty crooked. But you could use comparisons like that. I'm trying to see if I can think of any. I can't really think of any right away. As straight as my A's, my scores in school. As straight as what?
A pole.
A pole. Okay, you could go with a pole. You could go with something else. Good. As straight as a ruler. And then, so try to use fresh figures of speech. I want to say metaphors, but metaphors. Fresh figures of speech. The other thing is don't use mixed metaphors. Mixed metaphors are when you mix a whole bunch of things together. And Henry Wadsworth Longfellow is very famous for this in his poem about life. What is the title of the poem? I forget. But where he says, footprints that perhaps another sailing o'er life's solemn main, a forlorn and shipwrecked brother seeing shall take heart again. The Song of Life, that's the title of it. That has a lot of mixed metaphors in it because he talks about footprints in the sands of time. So the sands of time would sound like an hourglass. That would be the sands of time. And you're leaving footprints in there. But footprints that perhaps another sailing o'er life's solemn main, footprints that perhaps another person sailing down the ocean will see your footprints and take heart again. But now he's talking about footprints on the seashore. And the seashore isn't really considered the sands of time, that's the glass. So he used a lot of mixed metaphors, and he gets criticism for that. Whenever people try to write poetry and they're not very good at it, well, Henry Wadsworth Longfellow was good at it. But people like you or me, when we write poetry and we're not very good at it, we might put mixed metaphors in. Look at this mixed metaphor. Let's nip this explosive situation in the bud. Okay? So we have nipping in the bud, but we have an explosive situation. It doesn't fit together. If you nip something that's explosive, what's it going to do? Probably blow up. You don't want to nip this explosive situation in the bud. So we need to change it. We can either take out the nipping in the bud, or we can change the explosive. What does it mean to nip it in the bud?
No idea. Never heard of it.
What do you think it's going to mean? Let's nip it in the bud.
Try it.
Oh no. Nipping or cutting it off immediately in the bud. You're not letting it even grow. You see someone comes around with a bad attitude, let's nip it in the bud. A good school teacher, if he sees a problem at school, he'll nip it in the bud. He'll just, before you let it go for a while, and then it becomes a big problem. So let's nip this explosive situation. Explosive situation, this thing's getting ready to grow up. Let's just deal with it quickly, get it over with before it becomes worse. So we could just plain get rid of explosive. Let's nip this situation in the bud. That would work. Then we fix the mixed metaphor. Or we could just use something else. Let's maybe diffuse this explosive situation. Let's calm it. And diffusing it, again, would give the idea of just letting it evaporate, letting it go away, but not nipping this explosive situation in the bud. Oh, you might need to know some figures of speech.
I don't know any. Like.
Okay, so for like number 7, you have to use a fresh one. The inside of the cave was. Oh. Use whatever you want, and they even underline it as black as night. So you can even take out the as black. The inside of the cave was, and you can use a metaphor. Say it was. Whatever.
Does it need to be like something that makes it dark?
It could mean something else.
Can I make up a new one that would be like the inside of the cave was like this glass?
Yeah, I think that could
Something
work
like
too.
that, but that's
Yeah,
already.
but try to use a fresh one.
Yeah.
And correcting the mixed metaphor, riot, please struggle to fence in the boiling crowd. You see the problem? They're trying to fence in the crowd, but you can't have fencing in something that's boiling, right? So either change the fenced in to something that would work for boiling, or change the boiling for something that would work for fenced in.
Fence in the stampeding crowd.
Stampeding crowd. Much better. See, now you've got a straight up metaphor. That's lovely. Or you could say somehow contain or something, the boiling crowd, because you would put boiling water in a container. Something like that could work. I want to read the spelling words and I'll let you go. And there's a few here you might want to listen up to. I hope you say them correctly already. Benign, congenial, genealogy, generation, generator, generic, generosity, genesis, genius, genre, genuine, germinate, homogenize, ingenuity, innate, kindergarten, kindred, malignant, naive, nativity, genuine. I believe it has to be said, not genuine isn't quite right. That's what I was hanging up on. I'm right, am I not right? Good. Okay, enjoy your work.